Hello everyone, my name is Manisha Gupta from IISER Mohali. Today I'll be presenting my work on spread of endosymbionts in soil arthropod community. So as humans are facing this pandemic nowadays, our arthropods also face the infection of various bacterial endosymbionts, and these endosymbionts are so diverse in these arthropods that nearly two-thirds of the terrestrial arthropod species are infected with at least one endosymbiont. Example of these endosymbionts are Wolbachia, Cardinium, and Arsinophonus. These are maternally inherited endosymbionts, but if maternal inheritance is the only way via which they are spreading from generation to generation, then we should see a congruent phylogeny like this. But in spite of that, we see a incongruent phylogeny, which clearly indicates that there is no correlation of evolution between host and their corresponding symbiont. And it also indicates that apart from vertical transfer, these endosymbionts also undergo horizontal transfer for their spread. Another key feature about these endosymbionts is the frequent recombination seen in their genome. But for recombination to happen, endosymbionts must come in contact within the same cytoplasm, and that only happens during horizontal transfer. Therefore, it can explain the widespread distribution and recombinant nature of these endosymbionts. But the question arises, where and how is this horizontal transfer taking place, and at what level of biological organization? One thing is clear, that for horizontal exchange of endosymbionts, two infected hosts must come in contact with each other, and they do so while performing various ecological interactions in nature. There are various studies looking into these ecological interactions, but there are hardly any studies looking into an ecological community, which is the primary seat where all these ecological interactions actually manifest themselves. This is the first study of looking into the distribution and diversity of these endosymbionts in an actual arthropod community. So this is what we have hypothesized, that in a community of interacting individuals, if endosymbionts are first moving within the community, then we should expect less sequence divergence of those endosymbionts within the community as compared to outside the community. This is the methodology that we have followed, where we first sampled the soil arthropod and then screened them for three endosymbionts, Wolbachia, Cardinium, and Arsinophonus. So moving on to sampling parts and its analysis, we sampled the soil arthropod community from a relatively undisturbed land behind IISER Mohali campus using pitfall trap and leaf litter collection methods. We collected those samples, brought them to lab, and sorted them into, and they could be sorted into nearly 390 morpho species on the basis of their morphology. When we analyzed these samples using rarefaction analysis and diversity indices, we found that we have sampled nearly 55% of the species in the community. After sampling, we identified these morphospecies using DNA barcoding technique, where we have amplified a 600 base pair long mitochondrial CO1 gene. Using those CO1 gene sequences, we did the phylogenetic analysis of various arthropod taxa to phylogenetic reconfirm their clade till family level. After sampling and their phylogenetic analysis, we moved on to screen them for different endosymbionts and did their further analysis. So as I mentioned, that we have targeted three endosymbionts, Wolbachia, Cardinium, and Arsinophonus. So this figure represents the distribution of these endosymbionts in the arthropod orders in this study. For Wolbachia, we used initial screening was done using WSPEC primers, and once we have shortlisted the infected arthropod hosts to know which strain of Wolbachia they are infected with, we use the MLST system. For Cardinium and Arsinophonus, we used 16S rRNA gene and found that nearly 2% of the morphospecies were infected with them. During next we did the phylogenetic analysis to know which strain, so to know which supergroup these strains that we have found belong to. So for Wolbachia, till now 18 supergroups have been reported from previous studies. So when we aligned the strains that we have obtained with the known gene sequences, we found that 17 Wolbachia strains clustered with supergroup A, 17 strains clustered with supergroup B, whereas 2 strains obtained in this study clustered with supergroup F. When we analyze these supergroup specific strains with their host data, we observe taxonomic biasness. That is, supergroup A infections were predominantly found in Hymenopterans, whereas Hemipterans had mostly B supergroup infections. Next, we did the phylogenetic analysis for Cardinium and Arsinophonus, which showed that all 11 strains of Cardinium are cladding in group A. For Arsinophonus, there is no universal grouping system has been defined. Now, after endosymbiont screening and the phylogenetic analysis of endosymbionts, we try to analyze whether these endosymbionts are undergoing horizontal transfer or recombining within the community. For analysis of that, we correlated the phylogeny of host with their corresponding symbionts. And for all endosymbionts, that is Wolbachia supergroup A, B, Cardinium and Arsinophonus, we observed phylogenetic incongruency, which clearly indicates that horizontal transfer is happening between different strains within the community. We also did the statistical analysis where we correlated their pairwise divergence using mental tests. Here also we found lack of correlation between host and their corresponding symbionts. Next, we try to know whether are these endosymbionts also undergoing recombination within this community. For Wolbachia MLST sequences, we found that recombination is introducing twice more nucleotide substitutions as compared to point mutation. Um, Next, for Wolbachia, we also did their phylogenetic network analysis using split tree, and that analysis also clearly indicates that there is statistically significant presence of recombination. But for Cardinium and Arsinophonus, we did not obtain any such inference, maybe because we have used 16S rRNA gene, which is fairly conserved. So to enumerate the individual recombination events, we correlated the phylogeny, we correlated and compared the concatenated MLST gene trees with individual gene phylogenies, and we found 3 phylogenetic disparities that are indicating the between supergroup recombination happening. For example, STN2 strain, it is clustering in B supergroup in concatenated MLST dataset, but just COX-A fragment of this strain is clustering in A supergroup, which clearly indicates that this fragment is a recombinant fragment that must have come from some A supergroup. Similarly, the COX-A fragment of ST560 also clustered in A supergroup, whereas ST560 itself is a B supergroup strain. Next, third phylogenetic disparity was between A supergroup. Third phylogenetic disparity that we have observed, it's an indication of recombination between A supergroup and F supergroup. So if ST552 is a F supergroup strain, but just GAT-B fragment is clustering in A supergroup. So all these 3 phylogenetic disparities indicate recombination happening between supergroups. For FBPA, HCPA, and FTSZ, no indication of between supergroup was observed. For within supergroup analysis, we used RDP and we found 8 instances, and all these 8 instances of within supergroup were surprisingly in A supergroup. So after their recombination and horizontal transfer analysis, we compared the divergence of those endosymbionts within the community. As we have hypothesized that if endosymbionts are first moving within the community, then we should expect less sequence divergence of those endosymbionts within the community as compared to other strains. So this is what we have, this is the what methodology we have followed, where um, we calculated the pairwise divergence of our endosymbionts within the community and compared it with equivalent number of pairwise distances randomly selected from the database. And third, we also compared our community pairwise divergence with all the unique endosymbiont strains present in the NCBI and PubMLST database. We found that A supergroup and A supergroup and Cardinium pairwise divergence is less than the other strains. It indicates that Wilbachia supergroup A and Cardinium strains within the community are more closely related among themselves, but not Wilbachia supergroup B and Arsinophonus. So if we summarize the key points that we have observed, so phylogenetic incongruency and no correlation between host and endosymbionts clearly indicate extensive horizontal transfer in the community. And such horizontal transfer events create opportunities for genetic exchange between endosymbionts, that is recombination. And all the recombination events that we have observed, they are surprisingly within A supergroup. When we analyzed the pairwise divergence of those endosymbionts, we found that Wolbachia supergroup A and Cardinium strains within the community are more closely related to each other as compared to other strains. So for Cardinium, we cannot say much about it because we have used 16S rRNA gene, but for Wolbachia supergroup A, it will be interesting to know why Wolbachia supergroup A showed this pattern. So if we observe the data carefully for A supergroup, we found that 9 out of 17 strains of A supergroup, 9 were found in morphospecies, which are parasitoid wasps. And these, as we all know, that the lifestyle of these parasitoid and predators serve as a conduit for horizontal transfer of endosymbionts. Therefore, more the horizontal spread, higher are the chances of recombination between the endosymbionts. Maybe that's why we observed more cases of recombination in A supergroup. But generally, recombination increase the allele diversity and diversification. But in spite of that, we observed which should increase the allele variants. But in spite of that, we observed less sequence divergence of A supergroup strains, and it indicates that which indicates recent and rapid recombination events within the community. So this entire pattern that we have observed about the various recombination events and horizontal transfer clearly indicates that ecological community is the primary seat of endosymbiont horizontal transfer and diversification. But it also raises many questions that whether are some supergroup strains more prone to horizontal transfer. For example, A supergroup in this study. To know more and more about such patterns, we need more community-wide studies around the world, so that these studies that can later be correlated with each other, and we can found more profound and better patterns for the spread of endosymbionts all around the world. So you can read about this study through this link. And with that, I would like to thank all the delegate members and the of EMPACB, and I would like to acknowledge ISA Mohali and UGC for funding, Dr. Rituban Ray Chaudhary for his guidance, and Rajbir for and Ankita Gupta for being a part of this project, and all Evogen lab members for their support. Thank you.